think for recovery with ultras, it's a matter of like I think it's great to have a reward. Like if somebody's like, I want to have a beer as soon as I finish. But there's obviously other things you can do for your body. For some people, they're like, I don't care how much I recover for the next 2 weeks. Like I'm just gonna, enjoy whatever. Like they're not worried about getting back to training or racing. And in that case, but there are things you could do. So, it's things like ice baths right after, or like soaking your legs in cold water in a stream or creek. Like the last thing you think about, especially if you're like, just cold and wet, is want to go in another cold environment. That can really help. Pneumatic compression is a great thing people are implementing for recovery right after races to kind of just flush the legs out. Massage can be great. Of course, you want to, besides that beer or like that celebration beverage that you're going to have, you would still want to make sure you're getting enough carbohydrate. So making sure that you're getting carbohydrates and protein within that half hour to 20 minutes after a race is really important. And again, it just eases the discomfort later on. And maybe you're not going to run another race for months and months, but what's going to be best for your body. But again, enjoy it too. So I think sometimes the tendency to be like, okay, like we want to preach the right things for recovery, but it's also, I've been there with like other people where it's, you don't want to think about, you just spent months and months of like getting ready for something. So the last thing you want to do is like, okay, now after the race, I have to like do this and this and this and this. But depends on your like personality and like what works best. But there's obviously the things I mentioned that will help recovery over others, and hydration too. So if you're going to have that post-race alcoholic beverage, making sure you're getting enough water, get some electrolytes in too. So yeah. Or whenever you get it in, just making sure, yeah.
I'm the worst person to say about that, because the first thing I'll crave after an ultra, and I have the last sort of couple of years, I want a beer straight away. I have this, I think it's actually, I think it's a taste thing. I'm sick of sweet stuff, and I actually want that sort of slightly bittery feeling. Yeah. So the first thing, so after the ham and lime 100K I did earlier in the year, it was a hot day as well. I said to Pete, I was like, I really need a beer and I need a bag of salty chips. And I think once you've done something like that, you actually just have to give in to what you really want, whether that's a donut or whatever. But after that, so obviously sleeping's quite hard after an ultra. Your legs don't really like you. You get that horrible sort of dead leg feeling. You just want to sleep, but they won't let you. So you just need to prioritise sleep that week after, and getting good foods in, but also just treating yourself as well. But it's all about sleep and moving. I mean, I saw a lot of people after the 100 going off and doing runs like 3 days afterwards. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I would take as much time as I needed until I felt like I felt like running.
Yeah, so more like walking.
Yeah, walking. I mean, I did nothing for a week. I just walked. And then I did a couple of runs a week afterwards. But it basically was a 2-week process. But that would differ for everyone. But certainly listen to your body.
The most common mistake people make is knowing when to recover, because I think there's so many questions about that, this window of like, should I be recovering in the 20 minutes? Should I not be recovering? And the ideal is that you are recovering as quickly as possible, because especially if you are training for an ultra, you're probably going to be training most days. Your glycogen stores are going to always be slightly depleted. It's really hard to stay on top of them. So the quicker you can replenish, the quicker those glycogen stores are going to rebuild, because it takes about 48 to 72 hours for glycogen stores to fill. So if you are running every day, you are probably going to be slightly depleted. So we would often say, yes, try and take on energy in that first 20, 30 minutes as quickly as you can. Now that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a meal, but if you are somebody that maybe it is a meal time, then a meal is great. So having carbs and proteins, that might be eggs on toast, it might be pasta and chicken, it might be, falafel wrap and hummus. Like it's trying to find that carbs and protein hit that you're looking for. If, however, like after a race sometimes, we finish a race, we're quite tired, you might not always feel like eating either because you've raced hard, and you also know you then got to travel. So it's going to be like 2 or 3 hours till you get something actually proper to eat. That's when the recovery drinks can be really, really useful. So things like just chocolate milk, or, if you can also use a protein shake and make it up with milk. And so if you've got a plant-based athlete, you might want to use like a soya protein made up with oat milk, and that can make a really good, like that start to that recovery process. So liquid energy and liquid recovery if you're not going to be able to eat very quickly. But if you can sit down and eat within the first hour, then that's really the ideal. So it sort of depends on timing more than anything else.
Was there anything that you definitely shouldn't do?
So one thing I'd say is, I'm a big fan of beer.
Yeah.
I love a beer after a race. Like, I have to admit, if I cross the line and there's not a beer, I'm a bit upset. However, what I would say is, if you can, try and take some recovery on first and then have a beer. Yeah. Because alcohol will dampen the response to recovery.
You spoke to Holly about this?
Yeah, I have, but she doesn't listen to me. I think one of the things that's interesting is because we've now got so much alcohol-free beer.
Exactly,
That kind of then doesn't matter, because that does hydrate you and it does give you that kind of, the hydration back, and then you could go and have normal beer afterwards. The key thing is, alcohol is not a problem, but remember, it will dampen your recovery, and it will, you've had a lot of oxidative stress anyway when you're running, and it will dampen that if you're not looking after yourself. Now, that's fine if you're not going to run again for a month, that's fine. But if you want to run again fairly soon, then I'd say recover first and then have your beer.
Movement is really key, especially we'll train for a race and we'll be running every day and we'll be doing things every day, and I think for me, if I stop running for 2 days or 3 days after a long race, I seize up more, so I try to walk. I'll walk big distances, I'll run and walk. So I try and keep moving, because I think it's more of a shock for your body to stop moving than it is to actually do 100 miles and stuff. So yeah, keep the blood moving, sort of thing.
So I found for myself, ice baths work really well. Hot baths, they're nice, but they actually make me really lethargic the next day. And that's not the same for everyone, so maybe have a little play round. When I was in Chamonix last summer, it was amazing because there's a glacier river through it. So I could sit in that after all of my runs, which was quite cool. So yeah, ice baths. I always now have a smoothie as soon as I finish a run, literally as soon as I get in the door, and then chuck on compression tights. At the moment, I'm having vanilla protein shake, peanut butter, seeds, bananas, and frozen berries.
Amazing. And is there anything that you definitely would not advise people to do straight after they run an ultra?
Probably try not to sit down, because once you've sat down, you're not getting back up again. So as hard as it is, get some food and walk around a little bit and ease those legs off. Because once you're down, you're not coming back up.
Brilliant.
I make myself get into a really good stretching routine, and try and keep this sort of healthy eating up, because your body takes such a long time. Well, mine did anyway. I'd say it took the best part of a year before I stopped feeling really tired and all the rest of it. And I wasn't I took time before I started to then get active again. It's just your body's been through a lot. Your head might be saying, no, we're good, but your body's whoa, hang on, chill out a minute. So that for me was important, was your body just to recover, and put some good stuff into your body. Let it just recover properly. Don't rush. Yeah. So yeah, a few beers, hydrate with red wine and vodka. But I think that's the most important thing. And give yourself a break after. You don't have to be back 2 days later to crack in 7-minute miles and stuff. You can just chill out a bit. That's the important thing, I think. Yeah.
Subscribe free on YouTube and follow me on Instagram for more gear tests and training advice. I also have a book out too for everything you need to know about trail running in one handy package, including more gear advice, nutrition tips, recipes, ways to beat injury, and training plans from 10k to 50k. Check it out here.